Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us, everybody, on this, what has turned out to be very sunny and warm Monday afternoon. The days are getting hard to track as we move through this very odd time in our life. We have today Cynthia Smith with us, and she is going to do a presentation for about 20 minutes, and then we have time for a chat and a Q&A. My name is Nicole Imgrund, and I'm the owner and director of River's Edge Counseling Center. We hold these Wellness Matters talks a couple of times a month. And at this time, we are hosting them as webinars, and we're hosting them much more often. We've got about 16 of them between the beginning of the pandemic here until the end of June. If you have missed them, you're able to see some of them as recordings on our website. So far, we've done a couple of the ones we've done are positive pandemic parenting, finding your center in challenging times, how to talk to your kids about the big stuff, and one last week on understanding and easing anxiety. This week, we have two more coming up as well. On Wednesday, you can join Grant for his weekly mindfulness meditation webinar, a brief Wednesday afternoon webinar to have an experience of doing some meditation and ask questions if you'd like. And we have a couples date night on Friday night that you're welcome to join us about couples communication and managing stressors during this difficult time. Today, Cynthia, who is a provisional psychologist on our team, joins us for connecting with others in a time of disconnect. Cynthia works with children's and teens, adults and families. She has 15 years experience working in a variety of contexts, including schools, and also detox and addictions facilities and not-for-profits. And she has been with us for, I don't know, about 4 or 5,
2 months.
Just 2 months. Again, time is moving very differently. We are delighted to have her today. Cynthia is also a mom with a toddler at home, a little guy, almost 2 years old. So she's had to think as well a lot for herself and her family of how to stay connected through this time. As we prepared to start today, I asked her if she also wanted me to mention any hobbies or interests she has, and we both had a really good laugh about that, as though we have time for many of those, especially in these days. But with that intro, I am going to turn it over to Cynthia and invite everybody as we go, feel free to write some comments in the chat. I will keep monitoring them and share some of them with the group, your thoughts and experiences. And you're welcome to post questions as well. And I'll just mention them anonymously, but that's been some of the richest learning of these webinars so far is from hearing of your experiences and questions also. So I'll turn it over to you, Cynthia.
Sounds good. Thank you for the introduction, Nicole. So I kind of took an idea that I had and I kind of was thinking to myself, how do we connect with others when we have to keep a distance? So that's why this kind of came out. So during this time of social distancing, we can be feeling very disconnected from others. Maybe we're missing our family or friends. Maybe we're missing those chats in the lunchroom that we used to have at work. So during these times, it's especially important to make an effort to connect with others. So we can work at connecting others through more ways than just social media and Zoom meetings and texting friends. So through this webinar, I hope to give you some kind of new ideas about just different ways to connect. And I'm going to share my screen at this point with you guys. Okay. So I took, sorry, my little thing is not letting me turn the page. There we go. Okay. So before we get into the different ways to connect, I want to talk a little bit about the love languages. So many of you might have heard of the love languages before. A lot of premarital classes kind of talk about it that kind of stuff. And I really love the love languages because I think they are a very unique way to connect, but unique in the sense of when we really kind of sit down and think about things, that it's very common things that we're doing in order to connect. So the love languages began with a book by Gary Chapman, and he has a variety of books and podcasts, and there's even an app available for the love languages. And if you do go to his website, you can actually take the quiz to find out what your primary love languages are. And I'll talk a little bit more about those primary love languages in a moment. So I do encourage people to go kind of take that quiz if you're not quite sure what your love language is after hearing me talk for a while about them. So what are the love languages? So the need to feel loved is a primary human emotional need. And everyone has an emotional love tank. And in order for us to feel secure, loved, and confident, our love tank needs to be full. And having our love tank full also helps us to deal with daily stressors, gets us through those challenging times. We feel energized when our love tank is full. We're able to reach our full potential. And we're also able to get through those stressful times without, the tears and the anger and those kind of things that we often have when we're stressed out. So what fills our emotional love tanks and what drains them? So let's talk about a little bit about what fills them first. Our love tanks can be filled by everyone in our lives. So family, friends, coworkers, even strangers. Think about the time that a stranger has given you a compliment on something and how unexpected it was, but how much it kind of filled you up. So everybody kind of puts into our love tanks. Other things that fill our love tanks are emotional support from other people, understanding, affection, reassurance, time together with other people. On the opposite side of that is what drains our love tanks. And when we are feeling unloved, when we have those draining days, which we're having a lot of right now, I know I am, with that added and different responsibilities that we're having, that our days can be a little bit more draining because it's not what we're used to. We have the kids at home, we have to get groceries maybe for someone else, maybe an elder parent that we have to go grocery shopping for, something like that. So we have those extra responsibilities right now, which can add to those draining days. We might be having more emotional outbursts, maybe our own, maybe our kids, maybe our partners, maybe even strangers. Maybe you're out at the store and someone's upset and freaking out. Those things can all be draining on us. Personal attacks can be quite draining. So someone calling us a name, perhaps. Unnoticed efforts. So if someone makes an effort to do something kind for you and you don't really notice it, that can make a big difference to draining someone else's love tank sort of idea. Any sort of conflict, broken trust, and lack of affection. So there's a lot of things that drain them. So every person has a special way of perceiving and understanding love. And so there are 5 ways that people speak and understand love. And while everyone needs all 5 ways, there's usually 1 or 2 ways that kind of fill our tanks a little bit more. They speak a little bit louder to us and strongly to us, when those are our primary love languages. So while we do need all 5, if your primary love language is a certain one and someone does that thing for you, it fills it up a little bit more than, say, one that is not so high on your list. So as we move forward in talking about the love languages, think about not only what love languages speak to you, but also to those people who are in your life. So think about what other people ask from you. Do they ask for hugs from you? Do they ask you over for dinner? Do they reach out to touch you? Also think about yourself and what do you want from other people? Do you wish that you would have more hugs when you have a stressful day? Would you wish that someone cooks you dinner on a stressful day? Would you want people to say they love you on those days? What kind of fills you up a little bit more? And I just want to make a side note that if you have children in your life that are under 5 years old, don't expect to figure out what love language they are, because they're early on in their development. You won't kind of be able to figure it out. You might have a kid who's kind of touchy-feely sort of kid, but that might not be his primary love language, and it might mean that you have to wait a little while to figure out what his love language is. So the first love language is words of affirmation. So words of affirmation are those positive things that we say to others that express love and appreciation. So actions do not always speak louder than words. And to people whose love language is words, this is especially true. Unsolicited compliments mean to the world to them. Hearing the words, I love you, are important. Hearing the reasons behind those things is especially important and will send their spirit skywards. So on the opposite of that, insults leave them shattered and are not easily forgotten. So people whose words are love languages, when they are hurt, those are the people that might, when you're having an argument, bring up the last time you said something mean to them, because those words really did stick with them and hurt them. The next love language is quality time. And quality time looks at spending time with a person, and it's about focused and undivided time with others. So nothing says I love you like full undivided attention. Being there for the person is critical, but really being there with the TV off, the chores put aside, the fork and knife down, that makes the person feel truly and special and loved, because that you're their entire world in that moment. So distractions, postponed dates, or the failure to listen can be especially hurtful to them. Then we have receiving gifts. And receiving gifts are those tangible symbols that reflect thoughtfulness and effort. So gifts help that person feel cared about and thought about. And so it's important to not mistake gifts for materialism. So the receiver of gifts thrive on the love, thoughtfulness, and effort behind the gift. It's the thought behind the gift that counts. It's not how expensive the gift was. So if you give someone a gift and they're like, man, you really know me, that makes their spirit soar. So anything like a missed birthday, an anniversary, or hasty, thoughtless gift would be disastrous. And so would the absence of like everyday little gestures. That being said, sort of keep in mind that a gift does not have to cost a lot of money. It could be, bringing someone their favorite chocolate bar. It was kind of interesting. So as I was actually typing up this presentation and thinking about, small gifts that are meaningful to me, I actually was thinking to myself, one of the things my husband does once in a while is if he's working downtown, he will bring me a chai tea from my favorite place, which is Remedy Cafe. And then he walked in 20 minutes later with a chai tea for me. So that just definitely filled me up that day. It was wonderful. So it doesn't have to cost a lot of money, but he knows me well enough to know that that's one of my favorite treats. So once in a while I get given them, which is wonderful. Acts of service is the next one. So an act of service is an act that relieves the burden of responsibility. So it doesn't mean the person is lazy, and having things done for them shows that they are cared about. So you might be thinking, can vacuuming the floors really be an expression of love? Absolutely. So anything you do to ease the burden of responsibilities weighing on an active service person will speak volumes. The words he or she most want to hear are, let me do that for you. Laziness, broken commitments, and making more work for them tells speakers of this love language that their feelings don't matter. Something to keep in mind for someone whose primary love language is active service is it's the extras. So if you think about your household and think about how responsibilities are kind of already divided, it's not going to speak someone's love languages just by doing your own share already. It's by doing those extras. An example that I have of this is different person I was dating at the time. I came out of my house and on a winter's day, and my windshield was scraped for me. And it was one of those chores that I hate doing, and especially on a cold winter's day. And it was that little thing that I was like, man, I have a couple extra minutes that I don't have to rush off or anything like that. That task is already done for me. So it's those little extras. The next one is physical touch. So physical touch is the hugs, the cuddles, all those other little touches, the pats on the back, the holding hands, the thoughtful touches on the arm or the shoulder or the face. Those can all be ways to show excitement, concern, care, and love. So it's not just about the touch of it, it's about the feeling behind it. It's about the care and concern and love. So physical presence and accessibility are very crucial for people who have someone in their life whose love language is the physical touch. They want to know that they can reach out to you and get that hug when they need to and get that cuddle. Things like abuse and neglect can be very destructive to these people. So the other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit as well in this presentation is around speaking your own love language. We might need to top up our own tanks a little bit. Now, why this might seem unusual, during this time where we're social distancing, we don't have as many opportunities to have our love tanks filled by others. You might usually have those dinners with the family where you kind of get that quality time in with them. You might meet with a friend and you get a hug when you guys first greet each other. So those things are taken away from us right now. So it's really important that we might have to kind of fill up our tanks a little bit more because we're not having as many people contribute to our love tanks right now. So if you think about how many people you interacted with throughout the course of a day, in a typical day before COVID-19, you might be into the double digits, you know, coworkers, family, friends, the clerk at the place you buy lunch, the staff at the grocery store. All those interactions have kind of been really limited for us right now. So how do we replace those? It's a big expectation to kind of expect that of other family members that we're living with. And if you're living on your own, it's even harder because you're not even getting that daily dose of people at home. So really important to kind of top up your own love languages. Yeah, and especially too, because we have a lot of additional responsibilities right now. You know, parents are homeschooling their kids. We might be taking care of someone elderly just by picking up groceries or doing things for them. So keep that in mind that you might have to speak your own love language a little bit. So I'm just going to touch on a few ideas for people on how to kind of give their own love tank top up. So words of affirmation, this would include giving yourself pep talks, encouraging yourself, giving yourself compliments, even something as simple as, "Man, that was a really good meal I made tonight." Those little compliments to yourself can go a long way. Some other ideas would include, you know, positive self-talk throughout the day. You know, I got this, I can do this. Journaling, maybe start a journal about 3 things every day that you did well, something like that. Daily affirmations, so there's lots of different daily affirmations online that you can print out and read to yourself on a daily basis. And then one of the things that I really like is positive sticky notes. So positive sticky notes, the way I describe them, it's basically taking a bunch of sticky notes and putting compliments on them. And then sticking them up around your home, maybe on your mirror, maybe one in your car, just different places that you're going to read them. And the thing with positive sticky notes that are kind of cool is if you think about when we used to go to movies and you'd go into the bathroom stall at a movie, on the back of the bathroom stall, there was advertising. And as you're sitting there, you cannot help but read that advertising because it's there. And that's kind of what the positive sticky notes do, that you might not read them all the time, but you know it's something positive about yourself. So it just kind of gives you that little boost. The next one is quality time. We're probably, a lot of us are getting a lot of this quality time. At the same time, that being said, I know for myself, just because I have a little toddler at home, as Nicole said, and I'm just finding by the end of the day, I'm exhausted trying to find him things to do to entertain him without us kind of going to the park or things like that, have been really exhausting. So I know that I'm not doing this one for myself very much because all I want to do at the end of the night is either go to sleep or just sit on the couch and stare at the TV blankly. But giving yourself that quality time alone, doing an activity you enjoy is really important. So any reading, hobbies, exercising, meditating, anything like that, as long as it's something that you enjoy. The next one, receiving gifts, is treating yourself to gifts that make you happy. So that includes, you know, maybe picking up some craft items to try a new hobby, getting a treat while out grocery shopping, and giving yourself permission to do that once in a while. Maybe it's grabbing a coffee from your favorite place, even though it might be out of the way. So just kind of make sure you're kind of giving yourself those little gifts and giving yourself that permission. Access services next, and that looks at things that make you feel good and make life a bit easier. So that includes, you know, delegating, organizing, planning, scheduling. A lot of people are really kind of getting out of the scheduling and planning because, we have a lot of time during the day, but sometimes having a little bit of a plan and a little bit of a schedule can be really helpful to making life a little bit easier. I know last night I actually sat down and looked up craft things that I can do with a toddler instead of trying to find them in the moment. I haven't done anything more than with them than taken some screenshots of them, but at least I feel like I have life is going to be a little bit easier once I kind of get that organized for myself. Also things like giving yourself permission to not have to get things done right away, picking up dinner instead of cooking, ordering groceries online, all of those things can make a life a little bit easier right now. Physical touch is the final one. So this is things that make your body feel good and focus on your physical well-being. So this can be doing, a self-massage, making sure you have, wear soft blankets and sweaters and cozy up in them for a little while, doing a spa day at home for yourself, just getting out and moving, doing bubble baths and showers, even doing your hair and makeup, even if you have nowhere to go. Sometimes those physical touches can be enough for ourselves that'll fill our love tanks ourselves a little bit more. So I encourage everybody to kind of think about ways that they can top up their own love tank. So now as we talk about more ideas, I will be talking about how to use the love languages with others, but from a distance. So as we talk about these ideas, please feel free to take notes of other ideas that maybe you have that pop in your head, because I'd love to hear some more ideas at the end. And with many of these ideas, they may apply to more than one love language. So I might point out that a little bit as we go. So you might kind of sit there going, that sounds more like quality time to me. And there's definitely ones that kind of fit into more of one category. So yeah, words of affirmation. Now words can be one of the simpler ones to speak from a distance, but we still kind of need to make that effort. We're all doing a lot of, video calls and more texting and more phone calls with people. And usually we're talking about what's going on and that kind of thing. But sometimes just calling someone to say you love them or that you're thinking about them actually goes farther than, calling them to see, how's your day going, right? Because sometimes that feels like, we're calling to take up some time because we're looking for something to do. But calling someone just to say you love them or are thinking about them, that really fills that love tank of someone whose love language is words of affirmation. Sending out inspirational quotes to those you care about. Recording a message for someone, telling them how much they mean to you and sending to them. If you're creative, you can even draw or paint pictures of that. Is it someone's birthday? Record them and send them a card. Especially right now, like you're not supposed to send people things, or, if you send someone, you're supposed to leave it out in the garage for 3 days. So sending someone a birthday card, a video or recorded card could go a long way to them. Another idea is to, get out those old pictures your kids drew and put them up where they can see them when you're video chatting with them. They might be grown adults, but they probably do remember some of their artwork. Talk about those memories. That can go a long way to helping that person whose primary love language is words of affirmation. Another idea would be, to make up a series of notes for someone and tell them to open one each day. Again, some people are leaving things in their garages for days before bringing them in the house, that kind of stuff. So this is kind of a nice one. You can kind of do up a series of them and, give them a week's worth and drop them off or something like that. Another idea is to leave chalk messages on their driveway or notes of affection, something like that. The next one is quality time. So in this time of disconnect, and it can be really hard to spend quality time with those outside of our homes. And eventually video chats might feel more like a chore than quality time, since, we're limited on what we have to talk about right now. A lot of people are just, home with the kids and not having a lot to do, or, we're stuck at home with nowhere to go. So what we're talking about with people might, you might run out of things to say sometimes. So just some different ways to spend quality time are to provide the words to your child's favorite book to grandparents, aunts, uncles, someone like that, and either have them call and read to your child or even record it for the kids. Creating an online photo book or a slideshow and share with others. You can even view that with the person and talk about the pictures. Grandparents would love to see a day in the life of, I know I've been doing that one with my son's grandparents, that they get a day in the life of Alexander every once in a while. And They really like seeing him since they don't get to see him as much right now. Share a recipe with someone. Both of you cook it, and even chat as you cook. Talk about how the recipe turns out, even eat it together, something like that. Set up a Netflix party. So basically, Netflix party is you're watching a movie with a group of people or even one other person, both in your own homes, but you're watching the same movie at the same time and you can communicate. Set up an online board game night. There's lots of different online board game sites out there. Just depends on what you are interested in and that kind of thing. Meet virtually for coffee with someone. So don't think that you just have to sit in front of a screen and, look at the other person. There's activities that you can kind of do at the same time. Challenge other people to a photo scavenger hunt and share pictures after, or text while doing so you stay connected with them. This one might not apply right now because all the snow melted. When I was writing this, I still had a couple feet of snow in my yard, but it's all gone pretty much. But challenge neighbors to a snowman contest or a sidewalk chalk contest. Even challenge friends who don't live next to you, and you can share and post pictures of things. Just different ways to kind of feel like you're actually connected with some people. Receiving gifts. So dropping notes or gifts off to someone, even mail it. We don't get much positive mail nowadays. Usually it's, bills or people, asking you for donations or things like that. So dropping something in the mail to send to someone is kind of a nice thing. Have your kids paint pictures, and if you don't want to send the physical copy to someone, you can always scan and send it. I know I'm doing a lot of crafts with my kids right now, and a lot of those things are going to become gifts for other people. And keep that in mind when you're doing crafts for the kids. Think about, Mother's Day is coming up. You could be doing crafts for moms and grandmas and all that kind of stuff. Create coupons to give to other people that then allow them to connect. So even a coupon, for grandma, good for one painting of her choosing. Maybe grandma's favorite thing is, flowers, and your kids usually are painting dogs and horses, but maybe she gets to choose what they paint, and then she gets the picture. Or maybe it's for a video chat of their choosing. They get to kind of decide what you guys are doing during that. Maybe baking cookies or something over video chat. So just think creatively different coupons that you can kind of give to someone. Another one would be, if you hear a song you think someone would like, send it to them. That one also speaks a lot to words as well, because if the song speaks to you, it reminds you of them, right? So they're thinking like, wow, they're thinking of me at that time. Create a scavenger hunt for someone. Many parents out there are looking for things to do with their kids, and having someone else create something for them can really be a true gift. So as you kind of think about receiving gifts though, keep in mind those boundaries right now that you have as well as other people. Like I said, people are leaving things in their garage for 3 days before bringing it in their home. So if you're dropping a gift off, like, an ice cream for them, that might not be the best idea if they're going to leave it in the garage for 3 days. And finally, we have acts of service. It can be really hard to do things for others right now, especially since we have to maintain that social distancing. So this is one area that might need a little bit of extra creativity. But one of the things that I really thought of coming to mind is, all those parents who are at home who are also trying to work from home as well, that they might need some help, right? Maybe you could sit on the computer with their kids and video chat and help the kids with their schoolwork, or, maybe they could have art class with you or something like that. So keep in mind that there's different ways that maybe help those parents out. Additionally, maybe there's a new hobby someone is trying to learn. Maybe you're good at it. So maybe you already are very good at knitting or crocheting or scrapbooking or those kind of things, and you can video chat and help them learn. Or maybe there's someone that you'd like to learn something from. Offer to pick up groceries or craft supplies for someone else while you're already going. That can be a really good act of service right now, since so many people are wanting to limit their contact with outside world. Keep in mind that an act of service relieves the burden of responsibility. So again, maybe a parent who's running out of things to do with their kids, or who doesn't have the time to find things to do, or maybe if your friend is always the one to set up video chats or play dates. So even taking on that task to find activities or to set up a video chat, that can go a long way to taking something off someone's plate. Just the planning and organizing of something, that is an act of service in itself. Finally, we come to physical touch. Now, physical touch is a hard one since it's really hard to keep 2 meters in between each other and still touch a person. So again, think about things that provide comfort, just like in the self-love languages. So bubble baths, cozy blankets, and sweaters can go a long way. Encourage those things with your loved ones by maybe dropping off a care package that speaks their love language. And some other little ideas that I had, I was thinking about my grandma when I was doing this. My grandma was a quilter, and I have quite a few quilts made by her. And I always feel so comforted when I'm cozy under the quilts that she'd made me. My grandma's unfortunately not with us anymore. But I would think with her, like if I sent her a picture of me cozied up with my blanket that she made me, I think that she would just love that. Other things would be, take pictures or videos of your kids with stuffed animals that their loved ones bought them and send it to those loved ones. That kind of speaks a lot to even just that, knowing that you guys are thinking of that person as well. And don't forget just blowing kisses to people over the phone, right? Like, or over video chat. We don't tend to do that one anymore, I don't think, as much, except when you have really little kids. But you know what? It's kind of a different gesture. Now, what to do? So once you know the love languages of those in your life, and like I mentioned earlier, there is the website to go to if you really want to kind of take the quiz, or if you want to encourage other people to take the quiz, come up with a way as to how to target this love languages in those people that you love. Don't forget though that the other love languages are really important too, as all love languages contribute to filling a person's tank. And don't forget to also top up your own tank, because in this time where we're not having that as much contact with people, we really need to make sure that our love tank is being filled, so we're not feeling as stressed and anxious, so we do feel like we can get through this time. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. That was wonderful. As we wait for some questions and comments in the chat,
okay.
I'm really curious if people already knew their love language, if that was a new paradigm for them. But what a great way to really challenge our creativity and thinking of all of the different ways to connect. And I really loved how you started with how we can actually give that, meet our own needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think it's really important right now to do that, because we're not having as much contact with other people, so we're not getting it filled as much as we would normally.
Yeah. Somebody was asking about online board game sites, if we have any to suggest. I mentioned a couple that we just talked about the other day, actually, in a conversation. The tabletop simulator.
So it's kind of interesting, the board, because I actually was looking this up for myself. There's a lot of different platforms, so you can find very specific games on their own site. So there's games like Pandemic have their own site, so you can kind of, if you like a certain game, I would Google the game that you like to start with. Otherwise, like the tabletop simulator is, people have kind of put their own stuff in there and you can still play games. Another game site that I was looking into is Tabletopia. And there was like 600 different games in that site. And it's, it's not your easy games. Like it's not Monopoly and Game of Life or things like that. It's kind of more challenging games. But that one's a really cool one if you like some of those more strategy games and that kind of stuff. The really cool thing about that site too is that if you have no one to play with, there's people looking to play. So you can actually connect with people from Texas So it's kind of a neat that one's kind of neat. The tabletop simulator has some of the simpler games, like you could play the Game of Life in there, that kind of stuff. So it depends what you're looking for sure.
I'd mentioned in the chat that I'm hearing good things about Draw Area. Draw,
Okay.
ARIA, probably like an online version of When Lose or Draw is good for
Yeah.
group. And someone mentioned that Codenames, which is such a fun game, has a nice version online too.
Oh, okay. I'm writing that one down for
Yeah,
myself. I
that's
like that
fun.
game too. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I was thinking of is, I see some people are typing in the chat here, is what a great, my kids are a little bit older than yours, so between 10 and 14. I was thinking what a great conversation starter this is with them. Especially your image about how to keep your tank full. They're all boys. I know they really like that image. With the little kids, we talk about how to keep your bucket full.
Yes.
Yeah. But how, like, to really ask them, what are the things, that make you feel really loved and cared about?
Yeah.
And giving them some language around that and some suggestions is a great family conversation now too.
Yeah, and the really cool thing about Gary Chapman's website too is that you can go take the quiz on there, and it is broken down into, like, there's a relationship quiz, and there's a singles quiz, and there's a teens quiz, and there's a children's quiz. So if you're not sure of what your kids are, or they're not sure, that can be a way to kind of to double check what you're thinking.
Yeah, I didn't know they had one for kids too. Yeah, it's great. Someone is saying they've heard of love languages before, but isolation brings a whole new spin on how to accomplish it. That's true.
Yeah.
Thank you for this conversation. I learned a lot and appreciate it. Someone is saying, thank you, Cynthia. You are a ray of sunshine during these trying times.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm really kind of curious if other people have some creative ways they've been connecting.
Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts from the group? Ways that you've found? Yeah. As we wait for people to maybe share a few things, I'll say that's one of the nice things that you can see online right now. Watch videos, and it's so heartwarming to see. Oftentimes with grandparents and grandkids, these really neat ways of showing people that you care. Yeah. Someone is saying FaceTime watching movies together.
Nice. I like the idea of the paint night though. That's a really neat one.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Painting tutorial, and then called each other. That is a good one. I haven't seen that at all. Yeah. I saw in the St. Albert newspaper, a local thing is a couple of, I think they were twins, turned 18 during COVID here, and the neighborhood pulled together and made like little stops for them with gifts, like decorated their front porches. So the kids, young adults, I guess, walked around and did sort of like the pandemic version of a bar crawl through their neighborhood. Such like amazing creativity people have, eh? My goodness. Yeah, watching movies together, it makes me think of our colleague who was telling us the other day that he uses an app where it's like you're sitting in a theater with other people watching in real time. Another idea someone is saying is sending photos of memories in the mail. Snail mail can be fun during this time. You can even send an individual photo as a postcard. Oh, that's neat. Yeah. Yeah, I saw online some kits, like craft kits and activity kits that you can order through a business for your kids. But I was thinking that would be another really fun thing that people could do for kids in their lives. Or as you said, it's just as much of a gift for the parents.
Exactly.
To get something like that. I sent everyone cards for Easter. Someone's wondering, but am I sending germs through the mail? However, well, I think there's ways around that. Yeah.
And I would say like my mom is someone she's the person leaving everything in her garage for 3 days.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely her choice if she wants to leave her mail in the garage or not. Yeah. So I would say yes, send the cards, and it's their choice if they're opening them in a couple days or if they're opening them when they get it.
Yeah. Well, with opening and washing hands and things, I think there's safe ways to share physical things too. Yeah. Yeah, some great ideas. Yeah. There's something, one thing that's kind of nice through this time is when we're learning things, whether that's, personal skills or things that will serve us well when life returns back to our usual normal. And I think learning these things about the people in our life and taking the time to be really intentional and creative about how we meet our own needs and other people's needs. These are great life skills for all of us too. But we'll build relationships in positive ways. Yeah. Good. Well, I think the chat is winding down.
Yeah.
People saying thank you. Yeah. Good. Well, thank you, Cynthia, and thank you everyone for joining us today. You are welcome to join us for any of the webinars. We also have a couple of groups that we're putting together as we look for ways as a team to support people and help facilitate ways for you to stay connected. I know that Cynthia still also has room in her practice and is currently seeing people for individual counseling through video counseling, as is the rest of our team. So if you have any questions about that, or about any of the things that we're doing as a team during COVID, you can also certainly get updates regularly on social media. We're posting resources and things as well. But you're also welcome to call the clinic or send an email. If you have any questions about the presentation today, I'm sure Cynthia would be open to answering them, and we'll pass them along to her. And we will post her presentation, which was full of great practical ideas, on her bio page, as well as a recording of this, if you'd like to take a look again as well. So again, thank you and stay well. Bye-bye.
Thank you everyone for coming.